Nathan Lamont is from Wagga Wagga in New South Wales, and since 2023, he has been releasing unforgettable country pop songs, starting with Drink You Up. His latest single is Better Things, and its release comes after his first headline show at the Tamworth Country Music Festival, which is a very big deal. I want to talk to him about all of it. Hello, Nathan.
Hello, how are we going, Sophie?
I'm very well, thank you, and very keen to find out how that Tamworth show went because that is a big deal, your first headline show.
Yeah. Oh, look, I mean, we could start with that if you'd like. I mean, I'm still on cloud nine. It was a dream unlocked. I think that when I've spoken about it with other people, I bring up the fact that Tamworth was where I started 22 years ago because it was, and that's where my dream fell in love. That's where my dream came to life, and I fell in love with performing there in Tamworth. So it's like a second home for me, and I think just getting back and doing my own thing there, playing my own songs, doing it in a venue that was there, that people there just to see me, it meant the world. And to have we pretty much filled it. We didn't sell it out, but for a Friday afternoon, first day of the festival, I cannot complain. Everyone came, they sang, they danced, they had fun. I don't know. I hope that they had more fun than me because I had the best time on stage. So, and I'm sure that those were there could see it because I was soaking it all in. Yeah.
So you said that you first fell in love with performing at Tamworth 22 years ago. Was that actually because that was the first time you performed for a certain number of people, or just the first time at all?
Yeah, yeah. It was during the CCMA Talent Quest. I was 9 years of age, and I got up and sang bound for South Australia. I remember it like it was yesterday, really, because I'd never been more nervous in my life. And I don't know how good I was. I can't remember how good I was. I think I must have been okay. Because they let me enter, the following year. But it was just a surreal experience, and I remember just everyone looking up at me, and kind of for that 3 minute period, I had everyone's attention. And there's something about a 9-year-old getting all that attention. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's it feels like a drug. So it's like I was chasing that. I think from there on, and I thankfully kind of pursued it from there, and got to the point where I'm at now. So yeah, it's been a bit of a blur, but yeah, I'm thankful for that one moment in my life because it completely changed everything for me.
I mean, it could have gone the other way. You could have run off stage crying and thought, "I hate this," but obviously you embrace it. And I think maybe that's the innate nature of being a performer, right? Like if you respond to it like this is great, then that's what you're meant to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I was, I just didn't even know what I was doing back then. I didn't think I really grasped or understood the competitiveness of talent quests. Not from that age anyway. I think I definitely grasped it. A few years later, I was very competitive, but I think the nerves were purely just not wanting to mess up, and my stepmom Millie kind of ringing in my ear before I went on stage. To just keep going if I forgot the words, and just to smile and to look up and keep my eyes open. So that's all I heard in my head when I was singing, and I just didn't want to upset Mill, so I did what I did, and yeah, and I still hear that to this day. Can I say, like, Millie would drill that into me,
Right.
every time I would perform, and it sticks with me even to this day. So
Yeah,
yes.
open your eyes. Open your eyes is a good one. Yeah, because you might. And that
Oh,
is sound advice because I think the natural inclination when singing is often to close your eyes.
yeah, I'm still a culprit, and I think, yeah, you shut off the audience, of course. Like, it goes without saying. As soon as you close your eyes, if it's more than a couple of seconds, then I think the audience feels like they're not, you're not communicating with them. That's kind of our job as entertainers, is to communicate the song. And it's kind of like acting in a little bit. Like, if you're not inviting people along with you, then it's just for yourself. It's just a bit selfish, isn't
Yeah.
it? So. Yeah, it's true though. It's true. Man, Millie's still there. She's in my ear every time I perform. So
Well, I know she was a huge influence on your musical development, and she remains, obviously. But to
yeah.
Tamworth show, now I saw you playing last year at Lauren Ryan's show, and you
Mm.
did look like you were having a ton of fun on stage. So it doesn't surprise me that it happened this time. Were there any members of your band this time who were the same as last year in that band at her show?
There weren't, no. I think the intention that I had actually going to Tamworth was to take the band that I've got here in Wagga, that have been pretty much with me, since day one when I started pursuing music, and I felt like I was cheating on them a little bit, pulling in all these other guys for Tamworth. It was just too far and too costly to take them, unfortunately. I was lucky enough to get some brilliant players that I'd either played with briefly before at other festivals. Bo Hatch, who plays with Sarah Berkey, Lachlan Coffey, who plays with Hurricane Fall. Heath Sketchley was recommended to me by another artist, Mick Green, who he lives in Parks, but I'd known him from years ago, way back in the Talent Quest scene. I think he played for me in a Talent Quest once. Like, it was just a bit of a mixed bag, but everyone sounded incredible. And that's the brilliant thing about the industry, is that you get to work with so many different people, and sometimes you are kind of piecing together your band a little bit, depending on the location and their residency. So it's a lot of fun. I find it's really fun to work with new guys every now and then. But yeah, it felt a bit weird, I have to say, not taking my own band, because they're my guys. They're the people that helped me get to this point.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they'll forgive you, because it is a long way to go. And it is a big enterprise. I mean, this is part of the tricky stuff with the festival. Although the advantage of being on the first day, I would imagine, is that you didn't have to compete for too much rehearsal space. If you'd been later in the festival, that could have been tricky.
Can I say something though? We actually had zero rehearsals, so I did my absolute best. But because it was the first day, there were a lot of guys that weren't arriving until either the evening before or that morning. Actually, Mick, he arrived literally like an hour before the show. So we had like our sound check, and that was kind of our rehearsal. But everyone was incredible, and I think it just speaks volumes of how good they are, because nobody would have known that we were unrehearsed. So yeah, it's pretty cool, actually.
And I do love that part of the festival. Yes, that sort of thing happens, but also speaks to you as the band leader, effectively, because it's your show, that you would go with the flow like that. Some people might get uptight, but you had to open yourself up to anything happening.
Yeah, I mean, then that's the benefit of playing to click tracks too, I suppose, is like, it's as long as everyone is rehearsed in their own lane, like they've been rehearsing at home, there's really little room for error, unless they haven't been practicing, in their own accord. So, which, given how they're all pros, I knew that they would be. And I think that settled my anxiety a lot, because I know what Bo's like. He's, a world-class guitarist, and Lachlan, and all those guys knew what that show meant to me as well. So I knew that they'd be going in ready. So, and they were, and they killed it.
So did you get up to some other things at the festival, or did you have to skedaddle fairly soon after the show?
Last minute, actually, Jake Whitaker, who's currently killing it on Australian Idol, and we were like Star Maker bros from last year. He invited me along to a show on the Monday, which kind of conflicted with Lauren's show, because I of course got up again 12 months later after doing it. At Moonshines, we did it again at Lauren's show. We performed, My Favorite Summer, and she actually came along to my show, which was lovely of her. Because I know how busy she's been. And so I managed to get along to Lawrence, and then as soon as I finished at Lawrence, I missed the first 3/4 of Jake's show, which was this kind of songwriter in the round style setup, where it was just kind of 4 musos at a time on stage with their guitar, singing songs that inspired them or they'd wished they'd written in some capacity. And that was a whole heap of fun. We had like a really intimate crowd there at the Services Club on the Monday night before I left. Actually, it was the Monday evening before I left, and it was a really lovely way to cap off my time at the festival. Singing songs and talking about what inspired me as a young fella. But I did fit in as much as I could. I got up on stage with Jared Taylor at the Courthouse, which was a lot of fun. And I also did a fan zone appearance too, but I didn't have much of a voice left, so I had to. I ended up having to move my fan zone appearance a day later. And thank you, dear Tommy, if you watch this. Thank you. She was lovely enough to support me at my show on the Friday, and then move her fan zone appearance from the Sunday to the Saturday, so I could rest my voice for the Sunday. So yeah, we had too much fun, I suppose. It was a lot of this.
I guess that does happen. I should also point out that you and dear Tommy released a great single together called Right Turn. And That's a song that really grew on me actually. The first time I heard it, because it's different to your usual sound, I was like, oh,
Very different.
not sure about this, but then it's now become one of my most played tracks. It just really creeps in.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. Yeah, you know what? I think I feel the same. Honestly, I think it's one of those tracks that it it does grow on you. I think at first I wasn't even necessarily sold on it. I thought it was a good song, but I didn't know if it was me. And when Dear Tommy wanted to do a collaboration on it, I said yes because we'd written it together, and I really love Dear Tommy, and she's an amazing artist, and she's also she's got another song coming out too. She's really working just as hard as what we all are, and I just wanted to be a part of that. And then when I heard it come together, I just actually the more I heard it, the more I fell in love with it. And come release, it was I was really proud of what we did together. So I'm glad you said that because I think I feel the same way.
Yeah, cool. No, it's a great song. Everyone should check it
Yeah.
out. Now, you played at the Denny Ute Muster last year, which was a while ago, but I do like to ask about these festivals, particularly things like Denny, because it's a big deal. There are a lot of people who go to it. How was it?
Yeah. It was really great. I mean, another bucket list moment for me playing, Denny is such a massive festival, such a great opportunity for us artists too. I played on the day stage. We drove up that morning. Actually, it was a rough week ahead of it, and the reason I say that is because I ended up losing my voice halfway through my set.
Oh, no.
So not ideal, not ideal at all. It just was bizarre. I've never experienced anything like it. I was going, we were smashing out the first half of the set. I was going absolute guns, and I ended up losing my voice. From one song, I finished it full voice, to the next song, I had like nothing. Nothing was in the tank. And I remember Nat Pearson. She was standing side stage, and she's like, Nathan. I'm like, hey, because I was trying to make jokes of it and going, thanks so much, guys, for being so understanding, because everyone was still listening. And Nat kind of was like, Nathan, do you want a butter menthol? I'm like, yes, please. So she threw a butter menthol up. I downed that baby like it was, a fresh, fresh cup of coffee. And that seemed to bring my voice back somewhat. So I was able to finish strong with Life is a Highway in the original keys. So I managed to smash that out thanks to Nat. So I'm very blessed that there was a fellow artist side stage that saw me struggling. But otherwise, I think it was a great set. I think everyone had a great time. And you know what was bizarre actually was I was packing up. I've never experienced anything like it before as an artist. And I'm sorry to babble on, but I did want to mention
The
this as
point of you
well.
being here is to talk about stories.
But I just remembered as well, like I had like a queue of people waiting to meet me, and like that. I'm sure most artists have had that after their shows, but I'd never had that experience before. Um, with exception to my single launch, which was very 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 different because they were all there to see me, and like first it was a hometown show, so a lot of friends and family, things like that. But to be at a festival outside of town, playing my own set in front of people that somewhat, some may have never seen me before, some might have known about me through my social media. I had this queue of people waiting to meet me. It was just a really nice experience, I have to say, to see that there were people, even despite my tragic set. Uh, it was still nice to see people come up and stand in line and wait to meet me and have a yarn with me. That was probably the best feeling I've had post show ever. So yeah, it was pretty cool, and I hope to do it again. I hope to see that again at another
Well,
festival.
and it could have been because of the tragic set, in that because you went with it, because you're actually just telling people what was going on as opposed to trying to cover up or do something different or pretend that it was
Oh
happening. Like, just by just saying, I often think that's the case, is that if you just
yeah,
upfront about what happens, then people tend to go, oh, okay, he's telling us a story and I connect with it.
yeah. Well, and it's one of those things. It's a tightrope. Like I try not to bring attention to it unless it's really obvious, and this was like really obvious. I was butchering some songs, but and only because I've got such a powerful voice normally, and you've been to one of my performances before. When you strip back my voice entirely, you know when something's wrong. So yeah, I kind of had to bring attention to it because it was the elephant that was standing on stage with me at the time. So,
And obviously, like, a
yeah,
great advertisement for butter menthols.
yeah, that's right.
I don't want
It
to
was,
take
But like we had fun. Like it was a big set. We like I said, we still smashed it, and we finished really strong too. And I think that most people wouldn't remember the few songs where I was struggling, which is the main thing. That's what I
Yeah.
would say.
Or if they do, it's obviously with fondness. Let's say that.
Yeah, but they felt sorry for me. That's why they came up. That's why they came up and tried to console me after the after the
Yeah.
set.
Oh, they did. It's a
Oh,
tale of
I
tragedy.
joke. I joke.
So
I kid. Yeah,
now, on to the new song, which is Better Things. Were there specific
bigger
better things
things.
bigger things? Oh my goodness, what did I say? Did I say better things in the intro? I did. I'm so sorry. I've been listening
That's
to
right.
stop. It's because it's got like 3 letters are in common.
You can go back and cut. You can splice that
I'm
part.
not going to.
Yeah.
I'm going to own the mistake because it's a mistake. What are the bigger things that inspired the song?
Bigger things that inspire the song. Well, the narrative of the song is about wanting more than just little flings, and I think that this day and age, obviously, we've, things have changed, a lot. You see older couples, and often they'll say, been together for 20, 30, 40 years. I know with my wife's parents, for example, that's the case. They've been together for well over 30 years, married for 30 years and plus. And that just seemed to be the norm back then. You'd settle down pretty much, you'd meet someone in high school or earlier on in life, and then you would settle down with that person. That was your life partner. I think that this day and age, things have changed somewhat, and people are going and pursuing careers, and their priorities have shifted somewhat, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that for me, it was just highlighting how pretty much over the course of a summer, like, not to get too Olivia Newton-John and you know, summer loving. But it's just about how pretty much over the course of a short period, whether it's just you've met the right person, you realise that there's bigger things in store, that you want to take things to the next level. You don't want to settle for those kind of short term little flings. And really, it's just a fun, upbeat, uplifting song about love and how things have changed, or how things are changing. Whether you're at that point in your life where you met someone, or whether you want that bigger picture, you want that bigger thing in your life that you haven't come across yet. Perhaps you're ready to, start kind of settling down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit about that, but for me, the inspiration could be about anything. It's like any other song. The interpretation's there in the listener. There's a lot of things in store for me this year that I'm quite excited about, that I can't yet announce, and bigger things are on the cards. So I think it's also turned into that as well. But I'm rambling, so I'll let you ask another.
No, not rambling. I was going to say bigger things should be in store for you, Nathan, because I don't even pretend to not be a fan, because I do love your song so much. And even though I'm impartial, I guess I'm not going to try. So I was so interested to read that you worked with Msquared on this one, because I do know that you've worked with Alex Mather as a producer before. Alex is releasing his own songs at the moment. Msquared obviously are a powerhouse duo. That's probably a trite phrase now when it comes to them, because they really are. I'm interested whether you actually wrote the song with them as well as them producing it.
Yeah, I mean, I went in with a pretty like a half-baked idea. I had a verse and a pre-chorus in mind. I had a chorus in mind, but when I went into the studio, we quickly realised that there was a stronger melody and stronger lyrics that were kind of waiting for us in that space. And I think that I wasn't confident with the chorus, but I was really confident with the verse and the pre-chorus that I'd written, which is what it is now. But they unlocked, this real summary kind of. It gives me like a little bit of like Shania vibes, or even like a Sabrina Carpenter type vibes. Just the way in which it sits and the harmonies and all those things. They helped unlock that, which I really appreciated. And Michael Painter, he's a phenomenal vocalist. He's a freak. Everyone that I talk to says the same thing, that he's a freak. And he is. He's just been performing in Jesus Christ Superstar in Sydney, at Capitol Theatre. So the boy can sing, which was intimidating. I won't lie, it was intimidating. But I just I really clicked with them, and they are really really easy to work with, and they seem just really grounded. Really, I think that's in their experience, their knowledge, their expertise when it comes to producing, of course, but also being really good musicians, and singers. Actually, funny thing, I actually didn't get to hear Michael, the other Michael, De Lorenzo
Hello.
sing. Dello, they call him. I need to start calling him that because I've been just calling him Michael. The two Michaels. Not confusing, by the way, at all. When I first met them, I'm like, so you're Michael, and yeah, okay. But yeah, no, they were a lot of fun to work with, and I'm glad that I decided to take that step in a different direction. Like, it's not that I'm kind of not going to work with Alex again. I'm definitely going to be working with Alex, but I just wanted to try something new this time around, and we did co-write it together. So I'm really happy with it, actually.
It's also when your sound is now getting quite defined, and one could say you're leaning towards becoming an expert in country pop. They are experts in that as well, and so it makes sense for you to work with different experts just to see what they bring out in you as an artist. It's also partly you just
Yeah,
finding what you like, I guess.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I've been a big fan of Taylor Moss's stuff, like, and I know that she did all her stuff with pretty much Msquared. I'm like, Dream Baby. That song right there was just in my head for weeks when it came out. Being a dream, it was just like, so, like, I knew that they would, I knew we would click because they're, very much along the lines of what I wanting to achieve in songwriting. And like I said, I kind of, I'm 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 always happy to go into the room with a half baked idea and to have other people help unlock that. I've always struggled to really sit alone and write a full song. I think it's just that I get too much caught. I get caught in my head too much. But when I've got some other people in the room that know what they're doing, then I feel like I can take the pressure off a little bit, and that's when the ideas really get flowing. So, and they were really in the pocket of where I wanted the song to go, because like I said, I had that chorus, but I wasn't confident with it, and then they unlocked it, and then I was like, yeah, let's do it, and then we got it done. So, yeah, it was pretty exciting, actually.
Was it the only song you recorded with them, or are there some others in the vault now?
For now, yeah, like, it's the only song I recorded with them for that chunk of time. I do intend on working with them again, of course. I think I'll be working with a few different producers this year, but they'll definitely be on my list. And I think that, the more I can kind of branch out and work with different people, the more I can feel, where I sit, and what I'm happy with, to perhaps move forward with an album.
Mhm.
But like I said, I've been a big fan of other artists that they've worked with. Casey Barnes, obviously, another artist that they've been working very heavily with. All of their sounds, I'm just really a big fan of. So I wouldn't be surprised if I'm there in the next few months, to be honest.
Melbourne's not that far away from you.
No,
Wagga's somewhat equidistant between Sydney and Melbourne.
we're pretty lucky. Yeah, I pretty much get to choose
Yeah.
which direction I head. We are pretty much in the middle, so it is handy. But I'm still kind of out in the sticks compared to where some artists are based, unfortunately. But you make do, and you get it done.
But isn't it like Wagga's like our largest inland city or something like that? So I think it's not
Yeah,
hearing that. So it's a
yeah.
thriving hub,
I
thriving
have
regional hub.
been I have been grilled in the comments section for calling Wagga a small town.
All right.
I think, but I was born in a small town, Leeton, and I grew up in briefly in Narrandera too, very briefly for a couple of years. So, small towns are in my blood. That's where my family are from. It's where I kind of, and I mean, Wagga. Everyone still knows everyone. I'm not sure, like, it's no different to any other town out there. I walk down the main street. I can't get two, steps without running into someone. So, I mean, take from that what you will. But yeah, I consider it a small town because you can't walk down the main street without getting recognised. So,
Well, I have a colleague who is from Wagga, and I mentioned you because she was going home. The
yeah,
Festival of W was on. I said, "Oh, you should go and see Nathan Lamont play." And she's like, "Oh, I wonder if I know him." She didn't think she did, but then the next night, some of her friends put up an Instagram story singing along to one of your songs. She's like, "Okay, yes, like it's like I must be 1 degree of separation here." So,
yeah. It's like there are a lot of people in Wagga, so chances are she didn't. But it's I think I suppose it's different when you're a muso too, isn't it? Like, we're out there doing our thing, and we get to, and I suppose that's the best part of music, really, is you get to meet so many different people. Maybe it's just me that feels that way. Maybe it's small to me because I kind of know
Yeah.
everyone. So
You've
that's
got
my excuse. Go
everyone.
easy in the comment section, guys. I'm sorry, Wagga is not a small town by definition. I get it.
It is relative to other everything's relative now, but from that small town, you have had your songs streamed over 1 million times,
Yeah.
which is like a wild, wild figure, I think. Just to conceptualize a million different plays going on your song. So obviously they're connecting with
Yeah.
people. Do you have, so for example, the people who met you after Danny Ute Muster, your Danny Ute Muster set, did people tell you what they love about the songs?
That's a really great question. I think that I'm trying to remember now conversations I had, amongst me thinking about how poorly I performed at Danny. I think what most people said is that they're really big fans of my content online, and my dancing and how I make them feel more than anything. I think, and that means a lot to me too. I think if someone says, "Oh, I love seeing you do what you do," and you make me so happy and you're uplifting and you're joyful and things like that, like that's the kind of vibe that I want to share with the world. So I'm glad that that's how people feel when they see me, and whether it's in the flesh or online, whatever it is, because that's what my music is about, really. It's about uplifting people and making them feel good. And that's what struck me the most, I think, is the amount of people that come up and say that to me, which is really really lovely. The really like nice feedback to get from people.
And it must be nice also to know that the content is being noticed, because I know the grind of having to produce content, just like, thank goodness someone's watching.
Yeah, that's what we all kind of, behind the scenes, when we're backstage, it's what we all kind of whinge about, isn't it? It's like, oh, do we have to do all this video editing, alongside of writing and recording and all that sort of stuff? But I suppose it does give us a unique opportunity that we get now as artists that, perhaps 20, 30 years ago, most artists didn't, which is to engage on a daily basis with your fan base, which is pretty cool. Not just on stage. So it's given us access to the whole world. And I think that as much as we whinge, I think we wouldn't probably take it back either.
And it does allow you to raise some things that you might not be able to raise in other fashions, if there were traditional media in the way, for example. And I'm talking specifically about a video you put up not long before Tamworth.
Yeah.
You were talking about being bullied when you were young, and you admitted, as you were saying it, that you had no idea how it was going to be received or was that affected. It was a really vulnerable thing to do, but I think it was received well, in that people were there for you.
Yeah, it was overwhelming, and I posted it the day before my show, and I think I was just sitting, had some time the day before my show, back at Dan from 2TM. He had me stay. He was, welcoming me to stay with him for the festival, which was really, nice of him. And I was just there in Dan's apartment, just sitting and thinking about the following day, which was my show. Um, and I think I was thinking about, my childhood and just how tomorrow, in that moment, tomorrow was such a big dream that I'd had, that I never actually thought would happen. And I think that there were a lot of reasons for that, and one of which was the insecurities and the anxieties that I held from being a child, and performing on stage, but also what I encountered at school and also in the community. I spoke a little bit about my experience of bullying. Yeah, at school, I didn't really go into it too much because I didn't want to. I didn't want to dwell on the negatives, because it wasn't that at all. It was a positive video. It was about expressing how proud I was that I was able to achieve a massive goal of mine, and just how important and special that moment was for me. But it did dredge up some feelings of, not even feelings, memories, I would say, because the feeling in that moment was really happy and joyful. But yeah, the memories were there, and they still stick with me today. Um, and I don't like to really talk too much about what happened to me, because I don't think it really matters the extent of it, because it's pretty bad stuff. the extent of my bullying was constant over several years, and we're not just talking about verbal, bullying. We're talking about physical bullying, and it just completely changed who I was as a person, for good or for bad, and it sits with me today. But yeah, the messages that I received post, you know, following that post was just overwhelming within itself. Reading about countless people that have experienced what I'd experienced, and just to know that it touched a lot of people, sharing and being vulnerable with people. I think that I often don't talk about that stuff because, like I said before, I like to uplift people and bring joy into people's lives. And I think that's because as a young fella, I was rejected, and in more ways than one. Whether it's my father went before I was born, effectively, died when I was 8. Whilst I was going through all this, I was in and out of care. The care system, like every corner of my life was just rejection, rejection after rejection. So I think, getting to the point where I was able to overcome all of that was really, yeah, it was really a deep moment for me, and I didn't expect it, to be honest. It just came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it at all. But yeah, I'm glad that I'm glad that I uploaded the post, because I was really. Sometimes, like, you watch people crying on camera and it doesn't always look great. It's like, and it's like I was a bit worried, but in saying that, I felt compelled to share just how joyful I was in that moment, and hopefully inspire other people to push through their own experiences, whether it's bullying or anything else that they're going through in their life.
I think it is a huge thing to overcome when you're a child and you're being bullied from a young age. You don't know that things are going to be better when you're an adult. You don't. Your whole life is just this short period of time you've been on the earth. So you don't have the context of thinking, oh well, one day I'm going to grow up and this will go away. It is huge, and it feels like it's this assault on your person. And then I'm sure there's all sorts of studies and whatever in terms of how children deal with it, but just for you to navigate that. And then, because you talked about being 9 and getting up on stage and performing, now that's a big thing to do as well amidst all of that turbulence. And
Yeah,
to go on and actually to pull through it. A lot of people don't make it, as you know, you've worked in care as well. Like it's a lot of people don't make it through that. And I don't even know that there's necessarily something you can point to and say this is how you make it through it, apart from somewhere in you at that young age having something that you held on to that could get you through.
yeah. I think, it was the people around me that did believe in me, really, and it was just believing in their belief of me. It was kind of, and for me, I didn't necessarily have what I would describe as a safe home, but I had people that did care about me, whether it was a teacher at school. Sometimes that all it takes. I had a couple of teachers, I can name them, Miss Hurst and Mrs. Woodhouse, the music and drama teacher, and they believed in me. Big shout out to them if they ever decide to watch this. I had Millie, um, and you know the role that she played pretty much carried me through. But all it takes is just a couple of people. That truly is all it takes to pull someone out of that. Um, and I don't want to get too emotional because, yeah, I think it always happens when I talk about Millie. But it's sometimes it's impossible to really see the end when you're going through it, until you reach the end, and then you look back and go, holy smokes, I made it through. I mean, it still happens in some capacity, but I find that I've got the skin as a result of what I went through as a kid to deal with it. I see a lot of comments online, and previously that would have affected me. I'm so happy that I've got the support system that I've got in place, because I think that it would probably get to me. But I'm so blessed to have a wife and 2 kids that absolutely adore me, and I adore them, and I'm blessed to have all these friends in music that inspire me every day and that uplift me as much as I hope that I uplift them. And without these people, it would be a very lonely, dark, place that I'd be in. So I don't really know where to go with that, other than I just hope that if anyone is listening, that they feel that there is an end. And I did say that in my video, that school doesn't last forever. Those environments, you can, they do change, and you will find your people. You know what I mean? Like I was the only singing boy in school, and then that was bound to draw the bullies at that time. I was socially inept too. I was just so many things that led to that happening. It shouldn't have happened, but it happened.
Mhm.
And you can look back and understand why it happened, but I did a lot of catching up, and I'm very lucky, because my second half of my life has been nothing but blessings left, right, and center. Particularly now, I'm continually blessed by. I'm not a religious man. I'm just saying, in the sense that I'm gifted these amazing opportunities and people that I get to interact with and to form mateships and friendships with. It's just, life can't get any better. Is probably the point that I would say, and complete opposite of my childhood, which is insane.
Well, except I do think you create that stuff for yourself, and that's possibly a bigger, longer conversation. But just in terms of people, what you were saying about people leaving comments online, I now look at that and think these are people whose hobby is being mean. We should not give them any attention. Like, they need a better hobby. That's just, but I
Yeah.
think they are declaring that they have that one hobby and it's a terrible hobby.
Yeah, and you know what? I wish I could go back with my brain now into the school environment, because I would thrive, because I could look past it. I think that's the thing. Like, sometimes we take it so personally, we forget to see where that's coming from, and the hurt and the pain that sits within that other person. Um, and if you're in a good place, then they can't they can't break through that. You know what I mean? Words are just that. And I think as soon as you recognize where they're coming from, it immediately takes the wind out of their sails in your own eyes. I think, yeah, it's pure textbook projection. And I think that's often what I remind myself now when I'm reading those comments, is that there's something within them that I've triggered, that doesn't sit right for them, and I think they need to go and deal with that in order to be a happier, healthier person like I am at the moment. So, and that's where my head's at. Yeah.
And I know someone who's got like a million TikTok followers, legitimately, and millions of YouTube views. And she just says, "Oh, well, yeah, I never respond to troll comments. But they're great for the algorithm. So I leave them there."
Yeah.
It's like, make it work for you.
I will admit I do respond. But I often try and poke fun at them in return, which I suppose is just feeding the algorithm even more, because then they'll respond and blah blah blah. But
Perfect. Just
um,
keep feeding that algorithm. Yep.
yeah, but I try and have a little bit of fun with them. But not I don't try and take it to, I don't try and go back at them in a negative or malice way. It's more just kind of highlighting just a few things that they say, and give them that, and pretty much I go on with my day. But thankfully, I think that most people are on board with that, or at least a lot of the guys that I know anyway. They're like, yeah, go back. So I'm like, yeah, I don't mind either way. But yeah, I don't respond to every comment, but every now and then I'll take the bait.
It's good for the algorithm. I think that's the thing to focus on. Now
Probably a bit hypocritical of me, but anyway.
you mentioned that you have some things you can't announce that are coming up this year, but some things that have
Yeah,
been announced include a
yeah.
night in Nashville in Orange. Now, you did one of these last year. Obviously, it was such a big success. You're going back for more.
Yeah, I mean, I had so much fun. I'm not sure if you saw the content that came out of it, but
It's pretty
that would
big.
have
It's like a
highlighted.
big show. Yeah.
It's massive, and this year it's even bigger. They last year they had it 2 years. Sorry, that last year they had it 2 nights, and they kind of split the crowds a little bit. This year they've put it on one night, and they've doubled the capacity. So we've got 1,400 people that'll all be there on March the 15th. The tickets are almost sold out, so there'll be 1,400 people in the agricultural pavilion there,
Right.
which last year they had 850 in there for the night that I performed, and it looked full. So I don't know where these people are going, to be honest, but we're going to find a way to cram them in there. And it's just going to be line dancing, a whole bunch of amazing artists that everyone knows about: Haley Jensen, Robbie Mortimer, Katie Jane, Gemma Beach, who was in Star Maker with me last year, myself. There's going to be Mechanical Bull. There's going to be food, all American style food, barbecue, all that stuff. And just like this really fun party atmosphere. I know everyone's sets are jammed with all the Nashville hits. It's just a really, really fun event to be a part of. And mind you, I didn't mention there's line dancing in between each set. So
Right.
there's a lady that gets up and teaches everyone. If you don't already know how to line dance, she gets up and shows you how to do it, and then you can join in. So it's just this big hoedown. So I'm really excited to get back there and play another set, because I had a lot of fun last year, and yeah, it's probably one of the gigs that I'm looking forward to the most.
Well, if people want to grab any of those last tickets, they can go to your website or just Google Night in Nashville. Now, another big event you'll be doing is the Karajini Experience in Western Australia.
Yeah,
am I right in thinking you've played that before?
I have. Yeah, I was there last year actually. I was really I was really happy when they came back to me again for a second year in a row, which that doesn't happen a lot with these kinds of festivals, particularly when they're flying you from New South Wales to WA. So I'm so excited to be heading back to the Pilbara on Bunjima country there at Karajini National Park. I honestly had the best time there last year. It was just beautiful. Like, you drive there, it's like driving into a different world. It's just insanely beautiful, breathtaking everywhere you look. So I'm excited to get over there, and performing is like, for me, it's not work. Like, it just feels like I'm going on vacay to WA. But I'm so excited, and it's such an intimate crowd too. Like, I think normally they get about 1,500 people, because it is so remote. So a lot of them are tourists coming specifically for the Karajini National Park and the experience. They've got chopper rides. They've got our culture on display. Like, you can pretty much explore the national park, but also be treated with music and food and culture. It's just all in one, in the remote area of the Karajini National Park on the airstrip there. So that I'm just so excited. I can't talk about it enough. I'm really excited to be back there. So if there's anyone in WA that's listening that wants to head out to Karajini on April the 11th and 12th, I'm there. Come and see me. Come say hello.
And it's like sort of one extreme to the other, going to this beautiful remote area in WA, and then agricultural pavilion, orange, like mechanical balls.
That's it. Oh, look, and I actually just added another date to the list too, which is the Homeground Sounds Festival in Canowdra. Which is going to be May the 2nd, so after Karajini. Actually, and I should probably mention too, my Beer Shed show, which is in Campbelltown at the Beer Shed there. Molly and Jai, brilliant people. So excited to get to their venue. I've not actually been, but I've seen everyone play there on social media.
Great venue. I committed to a work thing because I have a day job months ago. To be in a different state on that date, and I'm waiting to find out if there's actually any way I can get back, because it's a festival. I'm meant to be down there for several days. I'm like, if there's any way they can get me back in time to come to that show, I'm coming. Beer Shed. It's a great venue. The Beer Shed, just so you know, it's a really good crowd. It's a listening crowd. It's very up for country music, and this is not a sponsored post. I just love the Beer Shed. I think they are great at what they do.
Well, and I've been saying this too in other interviews, because I've had a few interviews now and talking about the Beer Shed, and I think Molly and Jai, like, just what they do for country artists, I think, is really important for us as artists to have a venue that specifically caters for, for our crowd. Like, and I think that, like, they do other shows they get, but they also support us emerging Aussie country artists so much, and it's really important to have people like them in the industry to keep us going and to give us those opportunities to perform in different areas. And I think that that's what I really want to celebrate. And you won't be just supporting Alex and myself. It is a co-headline, so Alex Mather and I are doing the show together. We're teaming up, and you're not just supporting us, but you're supporting the Beer Shed, which is going to go a long way in continuing to support every other artist that comes through their doors. So that's what I'm all about, and that's what I think the best thing about country is that we've got such a supporting community, that they will do that. So come along on the 26th of April. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
And look, there are several opportunities for people to see you around Australia. They can go to your website for the details. I'll put some dates in the show notes as well. Nathan, I'm going to leave it there because I could keep chatting. And it's Sunday night when
we can do a Joe Rogan podcast, can't we? 3 hours. Let's do it.
Do you hear that people like a longer conversation, but you probably have things to do? It's a Sunday night. Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. I always really value, being able to talk to you, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Likewise.
Maybe we can talk for 3 hours.